Most new AutoCAD users completely ignore the status bar within AutoCAD, but it can be a huge time saver and unlock a lot of settings you may not know existed in AutoCAD. In today's video, we're going to take a look at how to quickly turn things on like selection cycling, dynamic input, as well as coordinates within your drawing, and customizing your status bar as well. Stay tuned to the very end for some of my favorites, but let's jump right into the first. Alright, so starting off, what is the status bar and where is it? The status bar is this area down here in the bottom and bottom left of your AutoCAD workspace. It's going to give you access to a ton of settings and tools simply by clicking on them to turn them on and off, and a few other options. First up, if you'd like to customize and add and remove different settings and options from this bar, you can simply click the three arrows in the bottom right to customize your status bar. Selecting any of these is going to add them to that quick access list at the bottom, and this is going to save you a ton of time if it's something that you tend to kind of toggle on and off as you work. Each of these settings controls things like different constraints, snapping, grid settings, coordinates, and a ton more. We're going to continue with some of my most used ones, including dynamic input, which I get asked about a lot, but I don't actually use a ton, but I'm going to turn that one on. You're also going to probably use selection cycling or have questions about it. I'm going to turn on transparency as well, and line weight, just to show you those ones and what they look like. Another one that I always have on in my drawings is coordinates, and I'm going to show you that right now. So if I select coordinates and turn it off, you'll see that my coordinates down here in the middle have turned off. If I select it again, it's going to come back on. Hitting that little customize flyout is going to get rid of that, and I'm back into my drawing. Now, the thing with coordinates is it's great if you're doing anything that might be referenced or georeferenced to actual coordinates, something like a civil or survey plan, even floor plans and landscaping plans. This is super useful. It's going to give you an idea of where you are in your model space. Even for mechanical, it's useful for size and scaling kind of reference. This is going to be controlled, like the units are going to be controlled by the unit settings within your drawing, but this is one that I always turn on in every install or every computer I'm working on. I have to have the coordinates on. I just tend to use it quite a bit. Now, the other one that I showed you there is called dynamic input, and this is one that I'll typically leave turned off, although I do know many people really love it. Selecting it is going to now move your typing from the command line by default up to wherever your cursor is. Now, this can be helpful if you like to keep an eye on what you're typing as you're typing it. It's going to keep that in kind of your center of view because you're following around your cursor. Now, the issue I don't like is it tends to clutter things up, and it also kind of freezes up what my mouse is doing when I start typing. Whereas when I have it turned off, I'm still able to type and move my mouse, so I can kind of do two things at the same time, and it's not locking my mouse to that dynamic text input. There are some times where it's useful, particularly like moving and using coordinates. I'd like to watch and see those if I'm moving things from, say, 0, 0, 0 to another one, and I want to keep an eye on what I'm typing to make sure it's in the right location. But to be honest, I don't use it that often, so it's almost always turned off, and I even remove it from my status bar most of the time because I'm not doing that toggling from on and off that often, and I'd rather clear this up for commands that I'm actually using. Something like F3, which would be my snaps. So if you're drawing a line, I've just typed in the line command, you can see that my line is snapping to points, corners, midpoints of lines. If I tap F3, it's going to turn that off. So now it's not going to snap. Now, the same thing can be done by simply clicking on this. So this is just a great way to see if your snaps are on by seeing that blue highlight when it's turned on by hitting F3. But it's also a way to control these settings by simply clicking them. You don't need to memorize all of the short commands. If you know you've got it down here on your status bar, it's an easy, quick glance down to see what settings are turned on and off, as well as to activate or deactivate any if you ever need to. So similar to snapping, ortho is another one that I bring up all the time. That is F8. It's also this icon down here. Tapping F8 is going to lock your lines to orthographical or orthogonal directions, so you can go left and right or horizontal or vertical. You can see that I can't draw something other than those two. This is great for floor plans and parts, But if I ever want to turn that off, I just tap F8 and I can see that I can now move around pretty quickly and easily without being constrained to those 90-degree angles. These kind of things are where it can save you a ton of time, is just understanding all of these shortcuts that are available down here. Polar tracking is similar. It's going to snap or lock you to various angle sets, which you can choose by hitting that flyout. If you'd like it locked to 45-degree angles, choosing that and clicking the button is going to turn it on. Now when I'm drawing, I'm snapped to 45-degree angles, and again, you can change that on the fly to say 30 or 18 degree, and you can see that it's now snapping at every 18 degrees. This is great and customizable and will save you a ton of time if you're working with consistent or regular angles and you don't want to accidentally be drawing anything off kilter or off angle. Another one to be aware of down here on the status bar, and I know many of you are still kind of confused with annotative objects and annotative scaling within AutoCAD. We're not going to dive into that in this video, but I do have videos on the channel, and if you haven't checked it out already, I highly recommend checking out my AutoCAD Fundamentals and Workflows course, where not only do we take a look at setting up annotative text and scaling within AutoCAD, I also teach you how to set up your own templates, layers, create drawings, import and insert XREFs, and use them within your drawing to create professional looking drawings on a standard and professional looking template, as well as setting up your production sheets, PDFing, and packaging up all of your drawings to send them away. And if you get my complete CAD toolbox included with that whole package, you're also going to get a beginner AutoCAD series to teach you the ropes to get you up to speed, as well as a ton of productivity information, including my productivity webinar and a bunch of bonus templates and title blocks. You can do all of that by clicking the link down below or up above and picking up my AutoCAD Fundamentals and Workflows course. But back to the status bar here. So yeah, you can choose between turning on and showing your annotative objects, as well as a couple settings down here by default that will add scales to your objects every time you change the scale, which can be controlled here on the right. This can save you a ton of time and make it super easy to add a bunch of different scales to your annotative text for later on in your drawing production, if that's what you're doing. Now, a few other settings down here that are worth noting. Like I mentioned, I tend to leave my selection cycling off, I think I mentioned before, but if you haven't used it before, selection cycling, a lot of people do like to use it, and what it's allowing you to do is cycle between objects if there are more than one above each other. So you can see I've got this text and it's above this XREF. Now, normally if I were to click on this and I actually meant to click on my XREF, it would be a bit of a pain to choose between them, but with selection cycling on, it's actually going to give you the option to cycle and select which object you meant to click. So if you click and there's a few objects near each other, it's going to give you that option of what you'd like. So this can be a bit of a time saver. If you've got any difficult and kind of cluttered drawings with multiple layers of objects, especially ones with multiple XREFs or say contours and site plans added in underneath your floor plan, if you ever have trouble selecting specific objects because they're above or below something, this is going to be a super useful time saver. So again, that is called selection cycling. You can type it in at the command line to turn it on or off, or you can use this button here that I added by using the customization earlier on. Now, a few other ones down here that are super useful. Object snap tracking, or F11, is one that I like a lot. So this is going to allow you to track and snap along a direction of where you're drawing. So if we type in PL for a polyline, and I click and I start drawing, you can see that it's snapping in the directions of what I'd like it to go. So if I kind of hover here on this point and draw a line across, it's going to track or continue drawing in the same plane and angle as the object has already gone, if that makes sense. So if I want to go down, I just kind of hover here and start going down. It's going to keep me drawing at a continuous angle parallel to the object coming in. So this is going to save you a ton of time because you don't need to necessarily be drawing at a specific angle. If you just want to keep a line going, you select it and just kind of start dragging out, and it's going to track along that object, keeping your angle the same. This can be a huge time saver, and it's one that I'll typically turn on most of the time. And again, that is F11, or you can click down here. But as I'm sure you can probably see by now, the status bar is a huge time saver when it comes to knowing what is turned on and off within your workspace. It's also going to allow you to access some of these more hidden or less used commands and settings within AutoCAD. Things like the transparency command you can turn on and off. You can see my hatches all over here. If I turn the transparency function on, you can see they all go transparent. So this can just change up how things are displayed. The same goes for the line weight option here as well. If you have line weights assigned to all of your lines, turning it on and off is going to show those lines as they would plot. So they're all going to show thick or thin. And if you keep it turned off, all the lines are going to show the same width by default, no matter what width is assigned to them. So that can be kind of useful. I know a lot of people will set up all their line weights and they're not sure why they're not working. It's because the line weight display setting is not turned on, which can be accessed down below in that status bar. If you have any questions with the status bar within AutoCAD, let me know in the comments. I really just want to highlight what it can do and how it can be useful to see kind of what's turned on and off in those settings, as well as to access some of them quickly by simply clicking, even though I will typically just memorize and use those quick F keys to turn these on and off. But again, if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to get a new video every week helping you with AutoCAD, CAD, and design. And if you haven't already, don't forget to check out my AutoCAD Fundamentals and Workflows course to learn all of this and a ton more using that link down below, which is discounted for viewers. Thanks again, and have a good one. Cheers.